Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a fairly simple job. We have a 2002, it's a Jeep Grand Cherokee. We're going to be changing the rear brakes and the rear rotors. So I'm going to show you why we're going to change it. I'm going to show you what kind of tools you're going to need, and then we're going to get this job done. So all right, let me bring you over and we'll talk about what we're going to do. This is the rotors. And as you can see, there's just no way that they're machinable whatsoever. This is the anti-rattle clip right here that actually keeps the caliper from banging around in here. This is wet here now because I sprayed it with some penetrating oil because I did do the other side already, and it was really rusted pretty badly. We're going to come around to the back of the caliper right over here, and right there's a little cover right here. Let's see. Okay, I'm probably going to need a screwdriver to get it off, but there's a little cover right here. We're going to pop that off, and then we're going to get in here with an Allen key, and we're going to remove that. We're going to get in here with the small little pry bar, and we're going to pry back on the piston to reset it into the bore, and then we're going to remove the mounting bracket, which is this section right here. That's held in by a screw here, and one on the bottom, and on the very bottom, I think that's 18 millimeter if I'm not mistaken. We'll take the mounting bracket off, then we're going to remove the rotor. We'll clean up this hub underneath here because it's probably going to be very rusty, and we'll put it back together. All right, so let's talk about the tools we're going to need. This is an example of what kind of tools you're going to need. You're going to need a hammer. You don't need something like this, any kind of hammer at all. It's good. You're going to need a screwdriver such as this, a little pry bar, or you can even use a screwdriver to push that piston back in. This is just in case the brake pads don't push in far enough. We can push them in the rest of the way. You need a fairly long ratchet so you can get in there and break those bolts loose. They are pretty tight. Like I said, it's 18 millimeter. We're going to need the Allen key to get in there and to remove the slide pins that actually hold the caliper itself to the mounting bracket. We're going to use a pair of vice grips to take out that clip that you see inside there. That clip on the other side got a little bent up trying to take it out because right here they were rusted really badly in place. So we are going to change these clips because they're fairly cheap. I think they're only like about $7, $8, something like that. New brake pads, of course, a new brake rotor. We already took the brake cleaner and we cleaned off the face of the rotor here and here, as well as inside over here too. So the rotor's all clean and ready to go. And we're going to use some of these lights too, so we don't have to, so we can see what we're doing. All right, so all right, let's get started. Now after we sprayed it with the penetrating oil, we're going to come in here. Now I don't care if I bend this because I'm going to be replacing it. But if you're going to reuse your clip, you don't want to use a pair of vice grips on it because you are going to bend it. You can get in here with a screwdriver like this behind it, and you can just work it back and forth until you get it to come out. This one is actually rusted in there pretty badly, so I am going to use these vice grips to pull it out of there the rest of the way. You can see how it's rusted in there. Alright, so we got them out now. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to pop out those little covers in the back, right over here. They just pop right off like this. We're going to hold on to these because we need to reuse them. Remember we talked about the pushing the piston back in. You take a small pry bar like this, you put it in the back over here, and then you just keep slight pressure on this. And we're going to push that piston back into the bore. And we'll push the piston all the way back in. Alright, now the caliper itself, it should slide back and forth freely. This one's a little bit tight, but it does slide, so we're just going to lubricate it and we'll be fine. Alright, we're going to take out those screws in the back. You know what, let me bring you in now and show you what they look like. That's the screws right there that we're going to be taking out. They're actually Allen keys. Okay, now we'll just take our caliper. We're just going to put it back here for now, just for now. Take this and throw it away, of course. And now in the back of those two bolts that we talked about before, we're going to break them both loose. Those are the 18 millimeters. I'm going to take our mounting bracket off. And now if the mounting bracket is actually rusted really badly in here, you'll need to clean this up with emery cloth or a file or something. This one we're going to clean it up a little bit as well. And now we're going to pull that rotor off. Now the rotor most of the time, it's pretty tight, this one here, but usually it'll pop right off. There's different ways you can do it. We can get in the back and hit it with a hammer, or we can get back here with a pry bar. So let's grab a pry bar and we'll continue. All right, now the way we're going to do this is we're going to take a pry bar like this, and we're going to come in the back, on the back of the rotor, on the back of the mounting bracket where it bolts up to the rear. We're going to actually keep pressure on it like this, and then we're going to bang on it and knock it out of there. Even the most rusted rotors usually come right off. But you can see this rotor, this is dead. Okay, we're going to clean this up in here with the disc. We're going to clean it up to get all this rust off of here. Once we get this cleaned up, we'll come back and we'll put our rotor on, and we're going to continue. But I just want to point something else out to you over here before we go any further. Whenever you have a new rotor, always lay it on the bench or floor or whatever, and make sure that the height of the rotor is the same as the one that you're taking off, and make sure the diameter of the rotor is the same diameter as well. All right, this one is, I already checked it for the other side, but you want to make sure you check that. Okay, and we'll just slide our rotor over the top like this. Make sure it's pushed in all the way. And then we're going to take our mounting bracket. Take our mounting bracket, put it back in the back where it came off of. And then we're going to catch both of the bolts. You want to catch them both by hand before you tighten them up. Otherwise, if you tighten up the one and you don't tighten up the other, it may not line up, and you're going to have a problem getting that bolt started. Right, and after you have them caught by hand, then you can tighten them up. I am going to go in the back, I am going to get the torque specs on this, and I am going to torque these bolts here that hold the mounting bracket on, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Now, I hear this all the time from people, aren't you worried about the grease on the rotor? I am going to clean it down, so it will be clean. We're going to put a new brake pad on. And you always lubricate every place that the brake pad touches. You want to put a little bit of silicone on any place that touches into anything else made of metal on the brake pad. You want to lubricate it. Now, this brake pad here, you just pull on it and it comes right out. And we lubricate it where the piston is going to touch into the brake pad. Okay? Now it's lubricated in the back wherever that brake pad is going to touch into the caliper. Now, we are going to have to push this piston back in a little further because I can see that it's not in all the way. That's when a tool like this comes in very handy. What it does is it goes in here like this. See how the brake pads are? turn it, and we'll push the piston all the way back into the bore. Once the piston's pushed all the way back in, then we can take this back off. Okay, take our pad out for a minute. Now these slide pins, remember we talked about these slide pins here? They were a little bit stiff. We all got to lubricate these so that they slide properly. Just a little bit of lube on here. If they're really rusty, you can clean them up with some emery cloth. When you put them back in, you want to make sure that they don't protrude out through the back here, otherwise it'll interfere going back on. And we'll do the same thing on this one. We're going to clean this up a little bit, lubricate it. We're going to slide it back in loosely, just so it's flush right here. And then we're going to take our brake pad. And I am going to put a little bit more lubricant. Even though I lubricated the mounting bracket, I am going to put a little bit here. And I also am going to put a little bit on the back over here, where the brake pad is going to touch, which will be right in this area here and here. Put the brake pad into the mounting bracket like this. Slide this over the top. And now we'll screw those Allen keys in by hand until they're both caught. Okay, once you have them caught, then you can take your ratchet and you can tighten them up. You don't want to over tighten them because I've seen these already where they've gotten stripped out. So you just want to snug these in, nice and tight. And then we're going to take our two little caps that we previously took off, put them in the back here, and just push them in like that, and like that. And now we're going to reinstall that clip on here. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to put that clip back in that goes right inside here. Sometimes they're a little tight. Hope you can see okay there. These are usually pretty rusty inside here, so I always put a lot of silicone on here to make it slide in a little bit easier. I also lubricate this end here, where it's going to go in here, and also in the back over here on the mounting bracket, where it's going to touch. And the reason for that is because if this moves against the backing plate, you may get a little bit of a squeaking noise as this piece rubs against it. Alright, so what I normally do now is I just get this one in here like this, catch it in here like this, and just tap it. That's why this comes in handy. And this one, I'll get it in here. Instead of trying to get this behind here and bend that up into place, I normally just put that in there like this. Put your vice grips on it, pull it down and push it in. And then just make sure you tap it all the way in just like that. Alright? Now if you're using the old clip over again, make sure that that clip didn't bend and hit into the back over here of the rotor, because I've had them already when they come in, and this clip is rubbing up against the rotor and it'll give you like a whirring type noise as you're turning. So make sure it's pushed in all the way, and that's it. You're all set. So let's just talk about what we did. So what we did now, okay, we cleaned up the face where the rotor was going back on. We slid our rotor back on all the way. We installed our mounting bracket here, and we tightened up that 18mm bolt right there. And we also have an 18mm bolt. Hopefully you can see this. An 18mm bolt right there that we tightened up as well. We lubricated the brake pads every place that they touch into the mounting bracket. We also lubricated every place that the brake pad is touching on the caliper. We screwed our slide pins back in and we lubricated them, and we made sure I put our covers back over the top. These little covers right here, we made sure we put them back over the top there and down on the bottom there. We then installed our clip back onto the car right here, and we made sure that it's pushed in all the way, and we lubricated every place that it's going to touch. Every place that it's going to touch, we lubricated, and that's it. We're all set. We are going to clean this off now with some brake cleaner, and that's it. You're all set. Okay, so the other side is done. This side is done. We're going to put the wheels on. Now, before you drive the car, or a truck, you're going to get in the vehicle, step on the brake pedal a couple of times, pump the brake pedal up because you have to push those pistons back out that we push back in. So make sure you pump the brake pedal so that you have a nice firm pedal before you take it out for a drive. And that's it. You're all set. Okay, another question I have, actually I want to address this now before we wrap this job up and get it out the door. I get this email all the time. Do I need to take the master cylinder cap off on top of the vehicle before I push the pistons back in? No, there's no need to. If the brake fluid is too full inside the reservoir, then you'll need to suck out some of the reservoir with some type of device to siphon out the excess fluid in there. Because when you push these pistons back in, if you have a lot of fluid in there, it's going to come leaking out through the master cylinder and down all over the frame of the truck and such. So if it's too full, take some out, but there's no need to open up the cap. As far as bleeding the brakes, the only reason you would need to bleed the brakes is if you were to replace a brake line, replace a master cylinder, replace a caliper, or replace anything in the hydraulic system at all. If you're not changing anything in the hydraulic system, then there is no reason to bleed the brakes. Well, let me rephrase that. There's no reason to bleed the brakes unless you wanted to. They do recommend draining the brake fluid or removing some of the brake fluid to get any kind of contaminants out of it, but that's personal preference. A lot of guys don't do it, but you don't have to if you don't want to. So, all right, let's get back up there and we'll wrap it up. As always, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.